welcome to the first annual Halloween special. Even though it is November, I still wanted to take time to dedicate the month of October to the world of horror. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Disney Gargoyles Awakening by Nate Heiss and published by Ravensburger. Let's have a look at the back here and see what this is about. Stone by day, warriors by night, we are gargoyles. Work together as Goliath, Brooklyn, Broadway, Lexington, Hudson, and Elisa to protect Manhattan from Xanatos and Demona in 4 different episodes. Information Welfare, Temptation of Magic, Reawakening, or Battle with the Steel Clan. So a cooperative game based off of the Gargoyle stories. I will say right now, I have never heard of this story, but I am intrigued on the back of the box, considering it says there's 5 3D buildings, so that intrigues me. So with all that said, let's have a look and see what does Disney Gargoyles Awakenings have to offer us. The game comes with a small-ish style board that is supposed to represent, I'm assuming, the city where the events of Gargoyles take place. There is a large grid that takes place throughout the entire board, and it goes from A to J and 1 to 10, and essentially is just a giant grid. You see these little areas here that are grayed out? Those are reserved for the various buildings that come with the game. The 5 3D buildings, these are the areas where the buildings actually will be placed. There are 3 small generic buildings, then there is a police station clock tower, and then there is what is known as the Erie building, which I will say these do have to be assembled for when you want to play the game. Now thankfully, some of these you don't have to take apart every time you want to put it away. These 3 small buildings here can actually be kept together if you want to put them back in the box. That way they will fit. These 2 larger buildings, however, they do not fit in the box. They will have to be taken apart and reassembled every time you want to play the game, so do keep that in mind. I will say though, for the most part, the buildings thankfully do go together very easily, so you shouldn't have to have too much of an issue assembling these, with the potential exception of the Erie building, mainly because this little roof up here is a little bit difficult to slide in on this side while also getting these little cracks in on the sides there. Other than that though, the Erie building does go together pretty well. It's just this little roof that you will probably have some issues with. There's also this little section down here with outlines of cards with a moon. I am going to assume that that is for this deck of cards here. These are villain cards, as the game calls them, and these basically are going to represent everything that the villain in the scenario that you'll be playing gets to do stuff. You'll basically draw cards from this deck, and then I assume you basically will just lay them out here as a sequence for when the events of these cards will play. Speaking of villains, there are 2 standees for the 2 villains that you will be playing against in the game. They are deliberately separated by color, red and purple, because the villains come with a health track with purple and red clips to track each of the villains' different healths. I will point out that the villains do come in and out of their standees a little bit difficult, but that I would say is a good thing, because that means there's no way for them to accidentally slide out while you're playing the game. Meanwhile, as for the health track, thankfully those slide in and out much easier, although for moving them like up and down, that's maybe a little bit difficult. You might be better off just like sliding it out and then sliding it back in to wherever you need to move their health to. Also, speaking of the villains, there are 4 scenarios in the game, the 4 episodes that I had spoken about briefly as I was reading the back. Each of these has a way to win, a way to lose, any special rules that were applied to that very specific scenario, and then a certain action that will take place during the daytime, which I'm assuming is the time that the enemy gets to play its turn, and any special effects that will happen specific to that very scenario. You then have character sheets for the various characters that you can play as in the game. You got Lexington, Hudson, Brooklyn, Broadway, Goliath, and Elisa. And each of these has their own health track as well. They also come with their own clips. And they do, just like the others, they slide in very easily. Not as easily to slide up and down, so you're better off just having it slide out and slide back in on wherever you need them. They also have special abilities and actions that can apparently also happen during the daytime. So maybe that's when everything happens. I'm not entirely sure. They also have a set amount of actions that they can perform each turn, a series of move values, glide values, and attack values, and they're all different depending on the character that you will play through. And I must say, I am very pleased with the text on these cards. They are very easy to see. You should not have any issues telling what numbers are what, nor should you have any issues with reading all the numbers and text on your cards. In addition to the character cards themselves, we have to have the different standees that represent each of these characters. And I can say with confidence that if you do have a hard time telling them apart from their colors, if you have color seeing issues, you should be able to tell them apart really easily, because each of the models are vastly different from each other, which is very nice. There is a bunch of what they call minion tokens that come with the game, and I'm assuming these are going to be like the henchmen that are trying to help the villains or something like that. They all have a move value and an attack value, so I assume that these are going to be moving around the city and attacking you from time to time. They're also double-sided, with one side showing a normal colored side and the other, maybe not on that one, but the other showing a sort of darkened side, which I'm assuming is kind of like one side is like a healthy side, the other is like a wounded, that type of thing, but that's just a guess. There are 10 of what they call skill tokens. Not sure what they're for. My guess is maybe they'll give you access to a special action of some sort. There are 3 of what they call data disk tokens, an Eye of Odin token, a token of what they call the Grimorum Arcanorum. There is a deck of cards for each of the characters that come with the game, and these are what they call hero cards, but they're basically just a deck of action cards that show you all the various things that you will be able to do on your turn. Each of these has a little value up here, which I'm not entirely sure. Oh wait, now I know. This is basically how many action points that it will cost to play the card. A little text here that tells you what you can do with that card. And it would seem that there is also an attack value or a move value or this little clover symbol here, which I'm not entirely sure what that is. But I will say the numbers and the text is very easy to read on these cards. And lastly, there are 5 customized dice that come with the game, the standard D6, but they have 2 blank sides, 1 lightning bolt, and then 3 claw marks. Not entirely sure what these mean. I'm assuming these are going to be how you attack an enemy in the game, and if you hit the lightning bolts, you get something special. So that is everything you will get if you obtain Disney Gargoyles Awakening. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. If you want to learn how to play Disney Gargoyles Awakening, or if you want to know my thoughts on it, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more tutorials, reviews, and unboxings. Thank you all as always so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.